Hello YouTube. Recently they added a new game mode that brought along some new artifacts. So let's see what the artifacts are and what's the best use case for any of them. Okay, so we have 3 new artifact sets and the way to obtain them is through the new game mode. The new game mode is a challenging game mode that you clear twice per week, so it's a limited number of tries, but they will give you a good amount of new artifact sets, new artifacts, so it's advised that you try to clear them before the week resets so you obtain as much as you can. Of course, it's a really difficult new mode, so if you only can clear the first stage like myself, then it's okay. You just have to grind it out until you have enough artifacts to equip all your hunters, and once you have the new sets equipped, you'll be able to most likely clear the next stages. The new sets doesn't really matter, but we'll see which ones are the best. But the difference between the previous artifacts and these ones is the stats. The new artifact sets are a higher level, which means they will be higher stats, and just from the stats alone it's worth it to upgrade your hunters to the new artifact sets. But what about sets? So we have Burning Blessing. It's a new artifact that gives you, when tagging out, the user applies the blessing effect to themselves and their team members. Increases the user's damage dealt by 8%. So when you tag out, you apply the blessing to you and your team members, and they increase the user's damage dealt by 8%. So just from the word tagging out, it seems it will be good for a support type character, or hunter in this case, since when they tag out they increase the damage of your next member. It has a duration of 10 seconds and a cooldown of 25 seconds. So it will most likely be always up, because whenever you switch to another hunter you will be using them for a bit, and then you switch to another hunter, use them for a bit until you switch again into the hunter with this set. So when you switch into this set you should have the cooldown finished. So what's the difference from the 2 to the 4 set effect? In the first set effect, the blessing effect is enhanced to enhanced blessing. Enhanced blessing activates when tagging out or using a support skill. So a support skill should be the skill that you use when you are as Sang Jin Ho, and the one you use when you tag in as well. I believe it's a support skill. The support skill is the one you use when you're playing as Sang Jin Ho, and your hunters use their skills when you click on their icon or the AI chooses to activate their skills. So when you have a 4 set effect, it works as a support sect for Sang Jin Ho as well, and it increases the user's damage dealt by 10%, that's a 2% increase from the 2 set effect, and recovers their HP by 0.2% every 1 second. It's healing and a damage increase set. Unable to activate Blessing, it means that when you activate Enhanced you're not going to activate the previous effect, so instead of getting 18% you just get 10% damage dealt increase, which is okay of course. And the 8 sect effect. The difference between these sets and the previous sets is that the accessories are also part of the set. So if you have the left side artifacts plus the accessories all of the same set, you can get the 8 set effect. In the 8 set effect, the enhanced blessing effect is enhanced to Burning Blessing. Activates when tag out or using support skill, same as the 4 set effect. Increase user's damage dealt by 20%. Now that's a 10% damage increase from the 4 set effect. And recovers their HP by 0.2% every second. Unable to activate the previous ones. Duration 20 seconds. Okay, so this is a restricting set. It's only good in hunters that go in and out really fast, so not really worth it on hunters that you care about having on the field, because the damage increase applies to the next person you tag into, since it's on the tag out mechanic that the blessing activates. So it's a really good set for supports, just like the new hunter Melin Fisher and Min Byung-gu. They just want to use their skills and tag out, not stay on the field, and they also heal, so it's extra heal for your healers and buffers. So a good set for support type hunters and buffers. The rest of the hunters don't really care about these effects, but until you get the set effects for the other hunters, you might just use it for the stats alone. So apart from Burning Blessing, what we have more? We have Burning Greed, a 2-set effect. When user hits a target with an attack that deals break damage, it applies the greed effect. So just from the first line we can see it's also another restrictive set. This set is focused on break hunters, the ones that have break skills. It's the only way that you have break damage, and it applies the greed effect. The break hunters will be Sojihu, Emma Laurent, and Baek, the light Baek, off the top of my head, are the ones that I remember that are breakers. So those 3 hunters at least can use this set, and your Sung Jinho also can use this set because you have break skills, and we'll see if it's better to use break skills to always activate this effect, or if it's better to use the other set we'll talk about later. So when you apply the grid, increases your critical hit rate by 1% up to 10 times, so 10% critical hit rate increase and a cooldown of 1.5 seconds. This should mean every time you use a break skill, you have a 1.5 seconds cooldown between the skills applying the crit rate. So you use a skill, you have to wait 1.5 seconds to use another break skill, that way you get the stacks. And duration is permanent, which is an amazing set. So it's as we saw in previous videos, the critical hit rate is capped at 50%, which means any set that increases your crit rate without above the 50% cap is amazing, and this one will increase it by 10%. You just need to use the break skills on your Sung Jinho and your break hunters, and they can get an extra 10% crit rate. The only issue is that Shine, that wants to crit as much as possible, can't use this set because she has no break damage. She only deals normal skill damage. She has no break ability, so this set won't be useful for her. What's the difference between the 2 and 4 sect? When the grid effect stacks 10 times, it changes to enhanced grid. So when you get 10 instances of the grid effect, dealing 10 break skills or break damage with an attack 10 times, you get the enhanced grid. And the enhanced grid increases the user and their team members' critical hit rate by 10% and critical hit damage by 15%. This is a big deal because the 4 set effect affects the team, not just yourself, which means if you have an hunter with break skills, it can increase your other teammates' crit rate and crit damage as well. If you're going to use Shine, you might want to use this set on your break character or hunter just to increase your Shine's crit rate and crit damage. And of course, when you get the enhanced grid, you lose grid, so it's not another 10% for the hunter with the set, it's just the 10% become a wide buff, a thin buff, and they receive critical hit damage increased by 50%. And the 8 set effect, when attacking enemies that have elemental weakness, the break effect increases by 30%. Just from this you can see that break hunters will have a lot of damage increased, and your Sung Jinho also will have a lot of break potential with this. The break effect increased should be the amount of break you deal to the enemies, so increasing your break is also always good to deal with the shields of the bosses. And apart from that, your enhanced grid, enhanced to burning grid, you have no requirement to go from enhanced to burning. The only requirement should be the first 10 stacks, so you get grid until 10, then you lose the grid to become enhanced grid, but in case of the 8 set effect, instead of enhanced grid, you get burning grid. Burning grid increases the users and their team members' critical hit rate by 15% and critical hit damage by 30%. So this is comparable to the toughness set. The toughness set gives you 8% critical hit rate and 32% critical hit damage. This set gives you a little less critical hit damage, but gives you a lot more, almost double the critical hit rate from toughness set. So it's the best set for crits right now, and it also increases your break effect. With this, you should always use this set on break hunters, unless they can't crit, but even if they can't crit, it's the best set for your team overall, since it increases your team's crit rate, and it's probably the best set overall for break hunters. There's really no reason to use anything else besides this set, because it will give all the team members crit rate and crit damage, and yourself an increase in your break effect. So a really good set. and might be the best one for Sung Jin Ho. Let's see with the next one, but for Break Hunters, this is the set you want to use on them, and there's really no reason to go anything else, because one, it's higher level, so more stats, and it increases your team's crit rate and crit damage, which, unless you're playing as Choi, you won't crit rate and crit damage. So what's the next set? Next set is Burning Curse. It applies the curse effect, increases damage taken by 20%. Okay, so right off the bat you will take more damage when using this set, but it also increases damage dealt by 10% and additionally increases damage dealt by 0.1% every 1 second, stacking up to 100 times. You take 20% more damage, but you also deal 20% more damage. So you take damage, but you also deal more damage. No real restriction. The only restriction is time. You only get 0.1% every 1 second, so you have to wait 100 seconds for the full damage to be active. If you want to clear fast, it won't give you that much more damage, but in long prolonged fights it will increase your damage by a lot. But let's see the difference between the 2-sect effect and 4-sect. In the 4-sect effect, it applies the rescue effect. If the user has 25% HP or less, they recover 25% of HP. Activates only once per dungeon. So what this means is that since you're taking more damage because of the curse effect, once you get to 25% HP, you recover 25% HP. So it's a safeguard for the fact that you're going to take more damage to help you when you're almost dying by recovering a big chunk of HP. It's only once per dungeon, so once you get 25% HP again in the same fight, you won't recover. It's not that big of a deal, the 4-sect effect. You can use a healer in your team and you probably won't ever care about the 25% HP or less from the set effect, so you could just use it to set Burning Curse, but there's really no reason to only use it to set off these new sets, but who knows. On the 8th set effect, the curse effect enhances to Burning Curse. Increases the user's damage taken by 20%, so it's still the same 20% damage increase to yourself, so you will take 20% more damage, but the increase the user's damage dealt by 30%. So instead of 10%, you go up to 30%, and additionally increase damage dealt by 0.2% every 1 second, stacks up to 100 times. So instead of the 20% damage increase, you now have 50% damage increase, which is a lot of damage increase. So the 8th set effect is really good. It increases your damage dealt by a lot. And the 20% damage taken isn't that big of a deal if you have an healer on your team or a shielder, so in prolonged fights this might be the best set because of the fact that it increases your damage dealt by 50%. I would say overall this is the set you will use on most hunters, since it increases damage and not attack or HP percent like some of the sets we have right now. So from attack percent scalers and HP percent scalers and defense percent scalers can all use this set. It's not tied to anything, so this is probably going to be the most general set you can have. Every hunter can use this set. It also has a safeguard for you if you don't have a healer, so you probably will never die with this set. And the longer fights that you have will make you deal even more damage. So Power of Destruction, for example, is an amazing set for that. You will fight for 4 minutes, so you will absolutely have the set the 50% damage increase from the effect. And if you're struggling a bit with some of the dungeons and core missions, if you can get 4-set effect from defeating the first boss until you have 8 different pieces. Of course, to get the accessories you need to defeat the level 25 boss, which is quite difficult. I still haven't defeated that level yet, so I can't get 8-set effects right now, but I can still go for the 4-set effect. But yeah, overall, once you can clear floor 25 of the new game mode and obtain accessories, this is going to be the most general set, with your breakers using Burning Grid to increase your team's crit rate, and your healers using Burning Blessing to increase your damage. So let's say your team is Shine, Sojihu, and Ming Byung-gu. You will lose Burning Blessing on Ming Byung-gu, Burning Grid on Sojihu, and the Burning Curse on Shine, increasing your damage by a substantial amount. Your Shine will be dealing 50% more damage from the 8 set effect in a prolonged fight, with a 15% crit rate increase and a 30% crit damage increase from Sojinhu set, and then 10%, I believe, and a 20% damage increase from the Burning Blessing effect. So that's a 70% overall damage increase from just from artifact sets, a 30% crit damage increase, and a 15% crit rate increase. So with no abilities in consideration, your Shine should have 65% crit rate, but if you consider Ming Byung-gu's ultimate, you will also have another 12% damage dealt increase and 12% critical hit rate, as well as a critical hit damage increase equal to 40% of the amount that exceeds Ming Byung-gu's basic critical hit damage. So just from this ultimate you will have 82% damage increase with a 77% critical hit rate just from from Ming Byung-gu's ultimate plus the break set effect, as well as the burning the curse effect on Shine. Overall, this is probably going to be the way you build teams now. One healer or buffer, one critical hit rate and critical hit damage buffer with the break set, and one Hunter, the damage dealer, your main DPS, using the curse set. Of course, you could also go for two break users with both having the break skill, the break set. So you could also use two breakers on your team and your main DPS, just so they increase your crit rate and crit damage by themselves. So you will have 30% increased crit rate and 60% increased crit damage, but it's not really that worth it because as we saw, Ming Byung-gu gives you as much crit rate as the set gives you and can give you even more crit damage. So if you don't have Ming Byung-gu and you have a lot of breakers, you might consider going for two breakers just for the sets and your main DPS for the most crits possible, or you just go the overall curse set on everyone. You can use it on literally everyone, this set. It increases damage dealt, not scales from attack, defense or HP. There's no restriction on that, it's just a raw increase in damage dealt. So the Burning Curse will be the set you will probably use on most of your hunters, with the Break Hunters using the Burning Grid set and the buffers and dealers using Burning Blessing. For Sung Jin-Woo, I would say it will most likely depend on your stats, because both of them will be good sets for him. Burning Grid or Burning Curse. I would say if you have better stats on your Burning Curse set, it's a 50% damage increase. But if you have better stats on your Burning Grid, you can also use two break skills on him to apply the effect faster, and then just go for it. So that will be it for the new sets and artifacts. Good luck on your grind for them. I sure am trying to get as much as I can. With this, we now know that they're made for specific hunters, but overall they're all good sets and just need a bit of patience to get them. Once you start getting the sets, you can put them on your on your hunters, just because their raw damage from stats are way higher than the previous artifacts we have, so it's worth it to change them, even though you're not going to get set effects, but just from raw stats it should outweigh the sets effects. And that's going to be it for today's video. If you liked, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!